This section of the presentation is on law and disability. There are some laws that dictate some of the accessibility issues around disability and higher education. So I wanted to discuss these briefly. Laws that apply to higher education include Section 504 and 508 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973 and the Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990. These laws are civil rights statutes that are designed to protect the rights of people with disabilities and also impact students in higher education. There are some other laws, but these are the main ones that help us understand how to serve students with disabilities. A disability is defined as a physical or mental impairment that substantially limits one or more major life activities, and the person should have a record of the impairment or be regarded as having such an impairment. This definition includes apparent and non-apparent disabilities, including psychiatric, learning, physical, or medical disabilities. This can also include ADHD, hearing impairments, and deafness or blindness. And these are some very broad types of disabilities. So your disability may be included here or it may not be. Just because it's not here does not mean that it wouldn't qualify as a disability under the ADA. But for each of these disabilities, they will interact with the environment in a way, and depending on what the barriers are in the environment, there may be a need for different academic or internship accommodations. There are 4 implications of the law. Students otherwise qualified for admissions have the right to be there. Second, once admitted, students have the right to access academic and non-academic programs. What this means is that you can get accommodations for the academic aspects of your education, which might be a note-taker in class. But you should also get access to internships and practicums as well. And this may be a new area for some of you who may not have had that kind of experience in the workplace. Also, non-academic programs may include activities that SGA engages in. So it's important to know that you have access to all of those experiences that any other student with a disability would have. Third, qualified students are eligible to receive reasonable accommodations that relate to their disability. Now, for me, I have a learning disability and I also stutter, but that doesn't mean that I get a sign language interpreter. So an accommodation really needs to relate to the disability and how that disability impacts on the environment and what barriers need to be addressed there. Fourth, students have the right to confidentiality of all disability related information. This means that your disability file will be kept separate from your academic or your advising file. You do not necessarily need to say what your disability is when you ask for accommodations from your instructors. Instead, all you need to do with a letter that you have is say that you have a disability, that you've met with the Office of Accessibility, and what the accommodation is. There may be times that you do need to disclose your disability, and the Office of Accessibility will work with you on those issues.